Hey, it's Doug from the Rise Above Gym channel, and I want to show you how to build strong and stable shoulders with only one piece of equipment, this mini band here. Let's check it out. I really like mini bands. I have a bunch here at the gym, and I incorporate it into almost everybody's workout. And the nice thing is they're relatively inexpensive. You can throw this in a gym bag or a travel bag if you're going to a hotel gym, and you can get a lot of good benefits using this. So I'm going to show you some ways that we use it here at the gym. We kind of divide it into three categories: mobility, stability, and strength. Now you can incorporate this into your programming, so making it a distinct exercise, or you can use it as a warm-up, kind of like what I normally do. When I start my warm-up and I think about what I'm going to do for that day, I'm just grab a band and I start doing a bunch of exercises, and it kind of checks in with my shoulders and see how my upper body's doing. Or you can throw it in between exercise. So let's say you're doing a set of squats, you want to do some active recovery, you can throw in some mini band work on your shoulders a little bit, and that way you're getting the shoulder strength. You're resting your legs, but not really resting. You're just not sitting around on your phone, which is okay, but also not very proactive. Anyway, let's get rolling. We're going to start with the mobility portion. One of the ones I really like is overhead flexion. Now we can start with overhead flexion on the ground. It's a little bit easier to set up, so I'll get on the ground. And the reason why this is easier to kind of feel what's going on is because when I go overhead flexion, I don't want to lift my rib cage while I do it. So I'm going to pelvic tilt or pull my belly button down, and as I go overhead, I'm pulling my rib cage down and I'm getting a stretch, and I'm kind of stopping where I feel a little bit of tension. As I go further, I start to lift, so I'm going to keep this down. I'll back off and I'll just keep working that mobility. I can go a little bit narrower and get a little bit more intense shoulder mobility. Pulling that rib cage down, see if I can touch the floor, and then coming back up. So if you can do that, you can do the standing version. So again, shoulders are down. I'm gonna go overhead and flex, so I'm flexing. I'm pretty narrow with my grip, so for me right now, I would stop right here, because if I go further, I'm gonna start to lift my rib cage and I'll back off. Maybe I'll get a little more slack. Pull down. I'm pulling my shoulder blades down as well. So I'm really trying to open up my chest and shoulders. And then once I feel the groove, I'll just get going a little bit more. So that's a good one to get that overhead flexion, that rib cage down, and open everything up to get your shoulders primed for whatever you're gonna do. Along those same lines, we'll get some back extension. So a lot of things we do during the day are forward, so we wanna open everything up. I'm gonna take the band. Now we're gonna grip two ways. One way I'm gonna do is palm forward, and I'm gonna pull my shoulder blades down. I'm gonna tighten my glutes a little bit, that way I don't get this pitching forward of my hips. And I'm gonna pull up as high as I comfortably can without leaning forward. I'm pulling my shoulders down, then I'll back off, pull. I can bring my grip closer together, which we talked about earlier, makes it a little bit more challenging. Then what I can do is I'm going to switch to the palm up version. That's going to rotate my shoulder into the socket a little more challenging. I want to see if I can get that extension. You may feel a little bit of bicep stretch as well. And my goal is to, get higher without forcing mobility. The nice thing about the band, it allows you to kind of get these mild rotations in as well to facilitate the movement. If you use a broomstick or just even your arms by itself, you're not really getting that groundedness or the stability, and also with that light kind of movement, so you don't hurt your shoulder and you're actually getting the benefits of that primary mobility. Next one I like, we're just gonna go overhead. I'm gonna get a little bit of tension, so I'm pulling out against the band, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rotate it in the socket. So I'm rotating my shoulder the other way. So I'm actually flexing my arm and rotating it inward and alternating. You can do it at the same time, but I find that alternating, I'm able to get a little bit more range of motion and I'm able to lean a little bit, pull that shoulder forward, and just rotate it back and forth this way. All right, the last one we're gonna do is the one I need to do a lot of, is behind the back flossing, internal external rotation of the shoulder. So I'm gonna loop this around one of my shoulders. I'm gonna have the top hand grab the top, the bottom hand grab as high as I comfortably can, and I just floss. So I'm basically just gonna pull up, pull down. And again, I'm not moving my back, I'm keeping up, I'm tucking my tailbone, and I'm just gently moving. If I feel a little bit better, I can bring it a little bit closer. And I actually feel my tricep on my left side a little bit tight, so I should probably work on that, work on opening this up, work on getting that tricep to release over here, and that'll help my shoulder mobility. And then of course you're gonna do the other side as well. Now we just went through our mobility section, now we're gonna go through stability. One of the things the band offers is these kind of oscillations or perturbations that you can train to help stabilize the shoulder. So the shoulder is the delt, and muscles around it which help actively move it. The rotator cuff muscles are stabilizing muscles that keep the shoulder in the socket, but they also move it as well, but they're primarily used for constant stabilization of the shoulder, and that's what we want to train. And those are the ones that get hurt fairly often. I'm going to loop the band around a post, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just grip in here and just get a little tension, and I'm just going to kind of pull and hold. I can retract and go back, pull. I can rotate a little bit and pull. Again, with the shoulder, there's no real right or wrong. I'm just getting constant movement, and I'll hold for a little bit, decelerate. What I'm not doing is pulling with my whole body. I'm trying to just get my shoulder to retract and move. Hold for a second and relax. I can do the more vulnerable overhead, so I'm gonna squeeze from in here, pull, and back. I'm keeping my rib cage and body stable. Pull and hold. I can go overhead a little bit here, and I'm going to kind of bring it into the socket and back. I can go palm down, pull. Again, change all these angles. Pull, hold. And I'm trying to make the movement small, so I'm not using a lot of muscle. I'm just retracting the shoulder. You can also lower the band and do the opposite motions. So now I can kind of do more of an upward motion. We'll get a little lower here. So I can loop around here, and I'm in the extended position. I'll pull, less movement of course, and back. And again, I'm keeping my body still. I'll pull in here, kind of into my body, and then relax, pulling in and relax. Change angles a little bit. I can kind of go downward, pulling towards the pocket, push my hips back, pull and hold, and relax. So again, these are stabilization exercises. So if you have a weak rotator cuff, or if you are an overhead athlete, a pitcher, a thrower, volleyball hitter, incorporate those in there. You can hold even longer, for 10 seconds or so, and really get those muscles oscillating. Just be careful not to fatigue it out if you're going to do something later on like bench press or military presses. You don't want to over fatigue it and lose that stability, but it's a good way to start your workout or even end it for just a little bit of a perturbations. Or you can also do it during your leg day. So let's say you're doing heavier leg day, you're not doing a lot of upper body. These are good to throw in between, because it's not going to ruin your leg day per se, because you're not fatiguing out those muscles. Next, we'll go into the strength portion. The third component is the strength component. So we're gonna do strength. I'll show you a few exercises that I like. Again, like I talked about in the introduction of the video, you can do this as a warm-up to your workout. You can use it during intermittent between sets, like say squats, and then you'll do your pull-aparts, which I'm gonna show next. Or you can make it a part of your workout itself. There's no right or wrong. With the band, these are such low tension exercises. In this band, it's a mini band. You can have heavier bands, obviously. But this one, I'm not getting a lot of resistance, so I'm not taxing my muscles. I can do these daily. I can do a lot of reps, and it's not really taxing my body to the point where I feel like, I had a heavy workout and I shouldn't do any more. So the first one we're gonna do for the strength series is the pull apart. Again, we can do it on the floor and we can do it standing. The floor will give you a little more support to teach you how to do it. So if someone's having trouble doing this, I will put them on the floor and I'll demo that. So what I'm gonna do is be on the floor. I like to have my legs up. I'm gonna pelvic tilt down. I'm gonna get my grip, rib cage down, and I'm just gonna pull to my chest. Now, I can't really leverage with my body on this one. I mean, I guess I can sit up and pull, but that's why I really like this one to start with the pull apart on the ground, because I can't really do too much beyond pulling with my shoulders. I might be able to use a little bit of arm, but I'm just really trying to pull the shoulder blades to go together without using my lower body. Wrists are fairly straight. They're gonna bend inward slightly, but we wanna try to keep them straight as much as we can. Now, when you're good at those, then you can bring them to the standing. Reason why we did it on the ground is because we don't want to leverage and pull. A lot of people will be up here too. We want to put our rib cage down, so pull, shoulders down, squeeze the shoulder blades. I'm not pulling with my arms. And then also getting that control back. I see a lot of people do a lot of this. The slower you go, especially on the eccentric or the back portion, the more you'll build up the shoulders. I'll rest up here, pull, control back, pull, control back. All right, we're gonna do some external rotation. Great for rotator cuff work. If you're a pitcher, if you're a thrower, or volleyball hitter, great one to do. A lot of people don't have movement away from their body. They're so inward that just moving this a little bit is challenging for them, and that means the rotator cuff muscles aren't working optimally. And if you go to do something in that motion, like let's say throw a ball with your kid or something, you're gonna hurt your shoulder. So this one I like is, I kind of got it, Eric Cressy did a mobility one called No Money. So it's basically pulling and you have no money. So we're gonna do it with the band. I'm gonna tuck my elbows in and I'm gonna pull apart eccentrically. I can get a little more slack to move a little bit more. My elbows are gonna stay in, my wrists are straight, my shoulder blades are down the whole time. And again, I'm not leveraging. I'm trying to isolate just the shoulders and then control them back. One that I do almost daily is an overhead press. So I'm gonna stand on the band. I'm gonna get it on the webbing of my hand. I'm gonna kind of get my arm inside here. I'm gonna pull my shoulder down, I'm gonna tighten my glutes, tuck my tailbone, and I'm just gonna press overhead and then control back. When I'm pressing, I'm keeping my shoulder blade down and then controlling back. This helps me pattern my press. So the band's gonna pull me around a little bit. I wanna see if I can control that band up and then control it down. It's a good way to get a lot of reps in without a lot of tension. You're building tension throughout the range of motion and then learning how to eccentrically control it, So I'm gonna push it up and then eccentrically control it down. So I would do both sides there and just work, those before I do a military press or just in general to get my shoulder going to help everything else out, help out my overhead flexion, help my strength, help my chin-ups. This is a great one for that. The final strength exercise I have for you is the face pull. We're gonna loop a band around a post or a pull-up bar and we're gonna do that motion. Now the difference between a face pull and let's say a row or even that pull apart we did earlier. The pull apart is a lot of rhomboids. We're squeezing the shoulder blades together. Yes, we get a little bit of external rotation, but it's mostly in the delts here. The row is gonna be in with the elbow. It's gonna be a little more rhomboids. This one we're gonna have a hybrid. We're gonna have a 90-degree. So we're getting that external rotation of the shoulder. We're working our delts and our rhomboids, but we're also working the rotator cuff muscles to stabilize the movement and with the band, getting that deceleration. So when you go to throw, hit, anything that involves overhand, you're learning and you're teaching your body how to decelerate and stabilize the shoulder. The shoulder is meant to move in pretty much infinite angles, so it's good to change and also train all these different angles. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my fingertips in here and I'm gonna make a triangle. Keep my thumbs out. So again, I got a triangle here. I like one foot in front of the other. Doesn't have to be. And I'm gonna pull towards my face or my nose and then control back, keeping the elbows up at 90 degrees. And the other thing, I'm constantly moving at the elbows. I see a lot of people do this and then bend their arms to pull towards their face, and they're not really getting the back and shoulder work. They're getting more biceps and forearm work. So constantly moving, controlling back. You can go a little lower too, so you can hit your nose early. Got a nice Italian nose like myself, it'll hit early. So we're just gonna pull and then control back. So thank you for watching. If you like the video, please like it down below. Also consider subscribing as I put a new video out every week. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.